just continuing with this pattern. So 1, 3, 5, and I'm just going to do it for one example here, but you could carry it along. So for one bar, we could go 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. And use that pattern. This is called an arpeggiation, where we're breaking up the chords. We can also change the order of them. So have these ones go first. I'm just going to change the order here. Put these back down. Or have the line continue up. Let's keep it going even further. Okay, that's just walking it all the way up the chord. And all these notes are still the same. They're still the 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, or C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E. There are many ways to arpeggiate and to break up chords to make them more interesting. You can add different rhythms. This is all just one after the other, but you could change that as well. So those are some ideas on how to take this a little further. There are other production ideas that you could use as well. Here are some production ideas for the end of your mixing project. I'm just going to take this and return it to its original state here. So here are some production ideas you can use. In the assignment, it does say to try some mastering and mixing. So I'll just show you how to do some of that. So these are some of the advanced options that are presented to you. Changing the chord rhythm is what I've just shown you by breaking up the chords or having them do something more than just those held long notes. An intro and an ending to the song. I tried making a little ending to it. You could also do an introduction by taking the whole thing and moving it forward and adding some music beforehand, which I won't do right now. Adding drum fills. Again, you should add the drum fills usually in music that takes place over 8-bar sections. You would do drum fills at the ends of each of those sections. So I put one here leading into bar 9, so leading into the next 8-bar section, and at the end of the next 8 bars leading to the end. You could also have them after 4 bars, so halfway through. So you could put one right here, a small one usually, and then a bigger one over here. And at the end of those fills, you would put a crash cymbal to begin the next section. And finally, using panning to create a stereo effect. So here we are now. I'm going to take my flute and move it over a little bit to the left. I'm going to take my piano and move it over to the right. I'm going to keep my bass and drums in the middle, though. And so now we get this slightly just listening on headphones especially, you'll hear a little bit of separation between those instruments in space, and it just makes them easier to hear as well. So again, along with changing the range or how high the notes are and changing the instrument, you can now also change the space where they're located in the song. Now we could go extreme and put, let's say, the flutes all the way over here, the electric piano here, the bass here, which is still called electric piano. I'm just going to call it bass, like so. That's a little bit extreme. I tend to think that the bass and the drum should be fairly close to the center of the mix, and then the electric piano and the flutes could be just over a little bit to the sides. If you wanted to try getting really crazy, though, you could automate these things so that you can actually have your players move around. This is a bit of a novelty, but if you wanted to, you could have your flute actually move back and forth. As though the flute player is wandering around the room. And perhaps you could take your bass player or your piano player and put them on a cart as well and have them wheeling around in the opposite direction. This is a bit kind of a psychedelic technique as well. This was used a lot in the 60s to create kind of a disorienting feeling for the listener, is to have instruments moving around in ways they couldn't normally do. Let's just try that. And again, you're going to see these knobs moving back and forth as the flute moves around the room. I made a mistake. I put these lines onto the volume instead of the pan. So actually what was happening was they were fading in and out. So I'm going to change this right here to pan instead. Same thing here. And again, I'll just click on here and start the flute player on the right and have them move back and forth. And they'll come home at the end. I think I can actually copy this and paste it onto this track as well. Let's see if that works. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Last one go over this way. Well, that's kind of silly, but okay. And finally, the last thing is to change the master track. So in the marking here, we have your drum beat, your chords, your bass line. The given melody is the first 8 bars. The create your own melody is the second 8 bars. Mixing and master track. So just to show you how to get your master track to show, this is just sort of an overall control for this whole song, and it controls everything that's being played here. I'm going to close this for a second, and I'm going to go to track and show master track. So there we go. And what I'm going to do with this master track is just make a few little changes to the whole song, mainly a little fade out at the end. This is the main thing that a fader or a master track will do. So I'll just go to volume, and at the very end, have it fade down to nothing. Let's see how that goes. Okay, and there's a master track. There's many things that it can do. Perhaps I'll put a little bit of echo or reverb, which is a sound effect. Let's just put that onto the master track. There we go. So here on the master track, I've got some echo that I'm just going to try to apply to this. I'm not really feeling any of those things right now, though, and they deserve some more explanation. So for now, the master track, it's enough just to use it maybe for a fade down. And at the end of the process, you'll mix it down by exporting song to disk. Again, I'd really like people to make sure that they include their last name at the beginning of their tracks. And then export.